Welcome, everybody, to the Grueling Truths Boxing Legends Show, brought to you by MyBookie.ag here on the Grueling Truths Sports Network. I'm your host for the Legends of Boxing show, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I want to welcome in my co-host, Jeremiah Preissser.
Good evening, everyone. Excited to be on. Always excited to be on. Let's do this interview, Mike.
All right, guys. Our guest tonight, former WBA heavyweight champion of the world, probably best known for the knockout with 45 seconds left in the 15th round against Big John Tate, and I believe that was 1980. Help me welcome to the Grueling Truth, Mike Weaver. How you doing, champ?
Hey, I'm fine. Thank you very much. I'm fine.
Hey, all right. We'll just start from the beginning because I've read a lot about you when I was little. I mean, you were one of the guys I loved to watch the fight. You had the big punch. But I read that you happened to get into boxing due to having a fight with another Marine over a song you wanted on a jukebox. Is that, and later you found out that he was a boxing champ of the Marine Corps?
That's about how it went. Yeah, I went to a club on the base. I went to the jukebox to play a song, and he got there about the same time. He like kind of pushed me, and I pushed him back, and the guy swung at me. He kind of missed. I swung at him, hit him, kind of knocked him out. A few days later, they come to my barrack, asked me that I'll be interested in joining the boxing team. I said, I don't know anything about boxing. Never boxed in my life. Don't like boxing. They said, well, the guy you knocked out was a heavyweight champion of the Marine Corps. That's how I started.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you remember what song it was that you wanted on so bad that you knocked a man out?
I know it's something about Glass Night in the Pip. It was like that in the Pip. I think it's the one. I don't want to do wrong. I believe that's the one.
All right. Jeremiah?
Yeah, I'm sure he's probably telling that story to his grandkids, too. He's like, hey, man, I got knocked out by Mike Weaver over a jukebox. But what ended up leading you to professional boxing itself? I mean, was that kind of the ball that got it rolling?
Not really. I started boxing in the Marine Corps. Then I started with the Marine Corps. I wanted to make a career at the Marine Corps. That was my thought going to the Marine Corps. I was going to do 30 years in the Marine Corps. And I started boxing, and then my father died when I had a year left. I went home, and because of him, my mother and my brother and sister home, I got the service. I think that had something to do with it. And after I got the service, I couldn't really find any job, no good paying job. So someone said, man, I'd go and turn pro. So I decided to do that.
All right. So what do you remember about your professional debut? You actually lost a fight, I think it was, to Howard Smith, wasn't it?
Yes. Well, I wasn't one of the guys that liked to train too much, and I just took the fight. They asked my trainer said the guy named Howard Smith who wanted to fight him. He had a few fights, had 4 or 5 fights, something like they said. And no one fight him. I said, I'll fight him. How much he got? How much he get? They said $100. I said, sure, I'll take the $100. I need it, and I took it. But he beat me, and I think he knocked me down 3 times. And we fought again, and when they went to this, he won the decision for me. So I didn't start off at too good as a professional fighter.
Yeah, you ended up losing half of your first 12 fights. Was it just a matter of not wanting to train? I mean, is that what kind of led to the slow start in your career?
Yeah, it was like that. It was not really taking fighting seriously, and not really training. I remember Ken Norton telling me, while working Ken Norton told me, Michael, if you take the fighting serious, man, you can do something. Because he spoiled Ken Norton. He said, you don't take the game seriously. You take the game seriously, training, you may make some money yourself. But him telling me that kind of put a spark there, and I kind of took it seriously, a little more serious.
Yeah, and in 1974, you lost by a 7th round TKO or KO to Dwayne Bobbick. I know that I read that you guys had fought in the amateurs. What do you remember about your fights with Bobbick?
Well, and matter of fact, I'm from an amateur. He was on like a 45 win box streak. 45. I had 3 fights. He won the decision. Then we fought again a pro, and he cut he cut my right eye. I had a cut eye, and they didn't stop it. My trainer, my corner stopped the fight because my eye was bad. But that's all I remember of him, because I knew him in the Marine Corps. I mean, in the Navy. He was in the Navy, I was in the Marine Corps, and that's why I first encountered each other.
And then you ended up running off a streak of 8 after that, which led to a couple big fights against contenders like Stan Ward and Leroy Jones, who had a significant weight advantage over you. Can you talk to us a little bit about? Yeah, do you remember those 2 bouts at all?
Sure do. I sure do. Yeah, I remember Stan Ward fight where we fought in Sacramento in his hometown, which I thought I won the fight. It wasn't a 12-round decision. I thought I won the fight, but they gave it to him in his hometown. And same fight, Leroy Jones in Vegas, which I thought I won the fight also. And that was it went 12-round. They gave it to him too. But that's all I remember. Then but I did fight Stan Ward again two times after that. I never fought Leroy Jones afterward, but I did thought we got robbed. Everybody said I got robbed, and I did. But yeah, I think I fought Leroy Jones weighed 202, and he weighed 270.
Yeah, Leroy was a big dude. I mean, even when he got a shot at Holmes, he was overweight.
Right.
Now, the fight I remember most with you, at least early on, where you really came into consciousness with me, was you fought a big puncher from Colombia by the name of Bernardo Mercado. He was a good fighter, but was he the biggest puncher you ever faced? Because I think a lot of people forget about Mercado. They just kind of remember Spinks beating him on the Ali Holmes undercard.
I always tell everybody Bernardo Mercado was the hardest puncher I ever fought. That's what I tell everybody. And we actually fought in the gym, in Hoover gym, before we fought. And he knocked me down in the gym. First time we fought, he knocked me down. Then at the round, they stopped the round. We didn't fight no more. And a couple of years later, we fought. And he actually knocked me down. He actually knocked me down in the fight also. In the third round, fourth round. And I came back the next round and stopped him. But he was a very hard puncher. He really was. He's about 6'4", 6'5", very hard puncher.
Yeah, I was wondering, what made his punches different than others? I mean, what exactly did it feel like compared to others?
Well. Some punches. Some punches are hard. Some punches punch hard. And I have to remember when I fought Ricardo, I was in a prime life. By 24 years old, I first fought him. 24, 25. And I guess he was just a puncher. He actually knocked out people in the gym. I used to knock everybody in the gym out. Back in the Hoover Street gym, he was knocking everybody out. And he was not, and somehow, finally, we decided the act of the sport. We sport together after a few, him in the gym for a while, and they asked me to run sport. I was I fought him. He knocked me down, and that was it. No sport again until we fought.
And probably a little familiarity there. I mean, but we talked about Stan Ward a little bit, and you got him back in the rematch. What do you remember the adjustments that you made for that fight? Which helped you on your way to the Larry Holmes shot.
Like with what Stan Ward, like I said, I thought first fight, I thought I really beat him, and I had him hurting in trouble. And I remember I was through, but 205 pounds for that fight. He was about 230. But they gave it to him. Then we fought again, and I stopped him in the eighth round, and that led to come up to their own fight. So,
all right. So when you go into the Holmes fight, pretty much nobody gave you a chance. They looked at the record. They saw the amount of losses you had. I don't think anybody took into effect how early in your career that was. And on that night, on a national stage, I mean, what do you remember? You're fighting Larry Holmes at Madison Square Garden. I think Duran Palomino was the semifinal bout to that. And you're in the ring with Larry Holmes with a shot to win the biggest prize in in sports at the time.
Yes, I was excited about the fight, and I told everybody, said, well, if I land home, I said, well, I'm not scared of him. I'm gonna give him a fight. I'm gonna tough fight there. But and I was very up for the fight. I think, TV went by. I mean, a certain was probably one date, and I think TV wouldn't buy the fight, so HBO bought the fight. And I know Don King said we're getting this amount of money at first time. Dean said, well, since nobody won't buy the fight and you're not known, I'm gonna spend I'm getting $25,000 less. And made the fight came to $50,000. And I told him, I told my manager, I'll fight for $15,000. I'll fight for $15. I'll fight for a championship. I mean, there was an opportunity, and I want to prove to people that I was a worthy contender, a worthy fighter. And I said, like I told people, I said, I may not beat him, but he'll know he's been in a fight.
Yeah, and he certainly knew that. After that, you got a win over Scott Ledoux, and then he ended up getting a chance against WBA champion John Tate. And, of course, he won most of the first 12 rounds, if not all. But, you started to carry the fight to him, and he started to carry the fight to him, and that led to one of the most improbable finishes that me and Mike have ever seen when he knocked him out 45 seconds left in the fight. Were you just confident that you were eventually going to get to him? I mean, and how did that night affect your life?
I went around telling everybody I'm going to win the championship. I'm going to be champion. I'm going to fight John Tate. Before the fight, I'm going to be the championship. And during the fight, at the 14th round, my manager said, "You told everybody you're going to be champion. You have 3 minutes to do it." But like I said, I just had confidence I was going to beat Tate. I mean, because I told everybody I'm going to be champion. But after I got in there, it didn't look too good. And around the 14th round, man, which waiting for, I couldn't get my punches off. I couldn't get going. And he was like a very pretty fast fighter to be so big, and he wasn't much of a puncher, an average puncher. And my man keeps saying, "What's waiting? You keep waiting too long." Then they said, towards the last round, the only way to win the fight now, you got to knock him out. I said, that's what I'm going to do then. That's what happened.
All right. Now, your first title defense was a great heavyweight fight that I think people forget about, the 13-round war with Harry Coetzee in South Africa. What was it like fighting in South Africa, which was still under the rule of apartheid at that time?
Well, I had a lot of people tell me not to go to South Africa. A lot of prominent black people tell me don't go there because of apartheid in South Africa. And one was Jesse Jackson. And I asked me not to go over there. And I told him I'm not a politician, I'm an athlete. He said, Preissser, he told me racism over there. I said racism over here too. We're fighting over here, and so I'm going with as a fighter, not as a politician. And he said people said they buying the title for the game. That's why they paying that amount of money going to buy the title from you. You can't win in South Africa. And I really, matter of fact, South Africa probably the fight that I trained the hardest for was that fight. I know it was I was on a lot of pressure. I knew Coach was a good for Gary was a good fighter and a very strong puncher, and I really trained hard for the fight and do what I had to do.
Now, Coetzee was known as having a bionic right hand. How did he compare to Mercado punching power wise?
I think Mercado edged him out just a little bit. Yeah. I think Mercado edged Gary the punching power.
Yeah, and they told you couldn't get a win in South Africa, and then you go and get a win in South Africa. But then you ended up taking you had another defense against a Don King fighter, and Michael Dokes. And to us, it seemed like referee Joey Curtis was looking for anything to stop the fight, any reason. And you already talked about how certain fights you felt you won, and you got the decision against you. If anything made you question politics and boxing, it was probably that fight, huh?
It did. And people don't know this, but Joey Curtis actually betted on the fight.
Yeah, he bet on a first-round knockout, didn't he?
Yeah, he bet the fight wouldn't go past first. Yeah, he bet on a first-round knockout. People don't know that. Yeah, and then he bet on the fight a first-round knockout, and then he go referee the fight and stopped in the first round.
Yeah, and then you get a second shot. They give you a shot 5 months later. The second fight, if anybody watches that fight, it's obvious you won the fight, and it ends up scored a draw. I mean, my question to you is this. Did you ever think about retiring after you get screwed over a second time like that?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Fact,
go ahead.
Okay. Matter of fact, that fight, after the second dose fight, I really lost a lot in me for the boxing. It's just like, it's not fair. And like I didn't care no more. I mean, just like, didn't want, I don't know, it's just that thing inside me that, like, God, everybody against you can't win. So just like I still box, but yet it wasn't there no more. A lot of fights wasn't there no more.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, watching you, I always took it that way because you were still a really good fighter, but it didn't look like you had the fire that you had against Coach Sia, against Tate. It just looked like a little bit of maybe the fun was taken out of it for you, and it was just a business.
Yes. That's just what it was. That's how you put it. It wasn't. It didn't have it no more. Just wouldn't care that I fight and fought for $1, $2 here, $1 there, but like this didn't really click. Really, that fight, the way I was treated in 2 fights took a lot out of me.
Yeah, what's crazy, Mike Goodpaster, is that this is the second fighter that we've had on who said the exact same thing. So we had a guy named Bones Adams on, a smaller fighter, and he was a damn good fighter in his day, but he felt like he was robbed a couple times, and he said the exact same thing, that the wind was just taken out of his sails because of boxing politics. You're constantly getting screwed over.
Exactly. And people I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that happens a lot, and unfortunately, it still happens today.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
It's the only sport where you can watch it for 36 minutes and know who won, but yet the other guy can be declared the winner. That would be like the Super Bowl last year. New England scores to win the game, and when the clock runs out, the officials give the trophy to the Falcons. But I guess if the officials got really long hair and a manslaughter charge in Cleveland in the 50s, I guess it's acceptable.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right, Jeremiah?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's just disappointing that it happens so often, and and that we all acknowledge it. I mean, we all know what's going on. I mean, but anyways, after that, you ended up getting a shot against Pinklin Thomas for a title, and you lost a tough fight, and you stopped in the 8th round. How good a fighter was Thomas? Because he looked pretty good to me.
Tom was a good fight. It really was. But like I said, it wasn't the same Mike Weaver in there. Stepping out all the time. I think I was 35 years old at the time. Not taking anything from Stephen Thomas because we were very good friends today. But he's a good fighter. He had a good hard jab, good jab. That's all.
Hey, Mike. By the way, I'm trying to get Pinklin on the show. So if you could put in a good word for us, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do it then. Yeah.
All right. Give me a phone number or something. I'll give you a call after the show. Right now, we usually take a commercial break, but I think we're going to keep this going. I do want to remind people that tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern, we'll have former world heavyweight champion George Foreman on the show, which we're extremely excited about. We got back-to-back world heavyweight champions Monday, Tuesday night. So make sure you go to thegruelingtruth.net to check that out. Now, you get towards the end of your career, and you fight guys like Johnny Duploy, which is a guy you beat that I don't think anybody thought you were going to beat at the time. You were supposed to just be kind of a stepping stone to him. But towards the end, you fought Lennox Lewis. Now, I know you weren't what you once were, but tell us a little bit about Lewis. You were in the ring with him. How would you compare him to like a Larry Holmes?
Well, I think if you ask me which one who would beat in their prime, I still think I go with Larry Holmes. I fought Larry Holmes in my prime. I fought Smith. The little one, I was like 41 years old. So I had to say that Larry Holmes was a better fighter. And I think there's a fought at the time. I think Larry Holmes would have beat him. I think Larry Holmes' jab was faster. And plus after the fight with Lennox Lewis, he called me to work with him. I worked with him for like 2 months when he get ready to fight Razor Ruddock in London.
Yeah, and I would think that it would be safe to say Larry Holmes is the greatest you ever fought.
Yes, I would say yes, exactly.
Yeah, because I think there's no doubt he's one of the 4 or 5 greatest heavyweight champions of all time.
Yeah, that's what I tell Larry. That's what I tell him all the time. Larry Holmes, you're the fourth. You're one of the top 5 greatest heavyweights of all time in any order. That's what I all the time. You just talk. That's what I'm not talking. This is true. I can say you're one of the top 5 heavyweights in any order.
Yeah. I mean, I think almost everybody's list starts with, Joe Louis and Muhammad Ali, but I think Larry Holmes is right there with him.
Exactly. Me too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's certainly grown in stature after his retirement. I mean, he wasn't as popular, but people are starting to give him his just due. Do you watch boxing today? And if so, what's your opinion of the modern heavyweight division? Not
that much. I don't watch it if I have to catch it on TV. But last time I don't know when fighting come on if I have to turn TV on and watch it. But I don't watch on a regular basis. No, I don't.
Nothing that captures your attention.
No, it really don't catch. No, boxing it doesn't catch my attention much. No, it doesn't.
It's not as good as it was back in the 70s and 80s, Mike.
No, that's probably why it doesn't catch my attention no more. No, it doesn't.
Now here's a question I got. I don't know if you can answer this, but back in the 80s, there was a ton of heavyweights that looked like they were going to be really good, that always seemed to kind of self-implode when it was eating too much, drugs or whatever. I mean, you had guys like Tony Tubbs, Tim Witherspoon, even a guy like James Broad. I mean, they were guys that couldn't get in shape. What do you think causes a fighter to not get the best out of his ability? Do you think it's something mental or something a little bit different?
I think it's mental, I guess, because a lot of fighters have this ability to fight and have all this talent and gift, and they're using drugs. And it's just, like I know a couple of fighters do that, and drinking, and so I guess I never drink or smoke or nothing like that, but and that's what I said it was. It's drugs. Because I know a lot of fighters, heavyweight fighters, that have potential, and they got involved with drugs and things like that. So
my question to you would be this. I would think a little bit, sorry about that, Jeremiah, but I would think a little bit of that would be that once you get to a certain point, you kind of start to feel like Superman. And I think a lot of guys, once they win a championship or they get close, kind of stop working as hard as what they did. When you won the heavyweight championship against John Tate, did you see any difference between after the Tate fight and before the Tate fight?
No. I knew I had to be in. I knew people was coming at me, so I knew I had to always be in the best shape I ever been in. But I really didn't see any different. No.
All right, and Mike, I just had a question. I mean, I've heard that you know how to play the piano. What are you doing in your free time? You still playing it?
But just go before I was on the piano about 15 minutes ago. Yes, I still must play the piano, and that's all. And I work sometimes I work with little kids in boxing, go to the gym and train with kids. But that's all I'm doing right now.
All right. So when you look back at your career, is there anything you would change about it?
No, if I did it, no, it's nothing I'd change about it. I mean, too late to say, another thing I would change about it. I mean, other than took it more seriously and train, that's about it. But it wasn't nothing else I think I would change about it. You know. It takes a little too, just.
And that's the cause and effect there. I mean, maybe if he doesn't lose some of those fights, maybe it takes a while before he gets Larry Holmes, or maybe he doesn't get Larry Holmes at all. Hard to say.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask one other question because I know you were an excellent athlete in high school. I mean, did you ever, want to go? Did you ever want to do another sport? I mean, did you have football in mind, or track and field, or?
I ran track. I ran track, and I like football. And boxing was nowhere. Nowhere. And I even thought about boxing. That was nothing I ever thought about. But my sports, I like football. I used to run track, and that was it.
Well, do this for me, Mike. I know Jeremiah is tall and skinny, and he wants to get muscles. Do you have any pointers for him on maybe getting some guns like you got?
Well, you just eat a lot of proteins and work out. They'll grow. Eat the protein, work out.
There you go, Jeremiah. Because Jeremiah's a young one. So, what year were you born, Jeremiah?
I was born in 1985.
Ooh.
Oh, 30. Oh, yeah. 32 years old.
I was like a junior in high school. I was watching Mike fight. And still one of my favorites was the one-shot knockout of Carl the Truth Williams, because I don't think anybody expected that.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And wasn't that on the undercard to Tyson Ferguson?
No, Tyson on the card of us.
Okay, I knew it was one way or the other. So, did you ever get close to getting a fight with Mike Tyson?
They were talking about Carl Truth was supposed to fight. Carl Truth was supposed to fight Tyson after me. Supposed to beat me. He was supposed to fight Tyson after that, but he did fight Tyson about 2 or 3 years later. But and that was the first time I actually met Tyson, up there. But it was talking about the fight, but it never happened.
I think he would have been way too dangerous to mess with, Mike.
Yeah, talking about that, and Gus and somebody told me that Gus Amon didn't want to take that chance. Somebody said it was told me, but and I saw one of Carl Truth friends a couple years later at a gym I worked at. They said no Carl Truth was good, and they said Carl Truth told him that I hit him more than Tyson did.
Yeah,
that's what they told me.
I believe that you hit harder than Tyson, anyways, from everything I saw.
Yeah.
I mean, if John Tate was still alive, I bet he could vouch for it, because that's one of the best one-shot knockouts I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
So did I, because at the time that fight happened, I was like 11 years old, and I remember it was one of those old ABC cards where you'd have like Leonard and Hagler and all these guys on the same card.
Yep.
And I'm watching the fight. Yeah, and I'm watching the fight, and it's going through this. And the first 12 rounds, you don't do much of anything. And I was a big Mike Weaver fan, and I'm thinking, man, what's he doing? And then you start picking it up, and they're going to the 15th round. And I went in, and my dad was watching TV in the kitchen because he'd given up. And I walked in, I said, I think Mike's got a chance to knock him out. And he said, oh, there's no way. He said, there's no way he's knocking him out in the last 3 minutes. And I just remember you hit him, and I jumped up. I ran in. I told my dad, I said, I told you Mike was going to knock him out. And see, the bad thing is back in, since I was sitting there talking crap to him, he missed a replay, so it took a couple hours before he even sold a one-shot knockout. Wasn't like you could flip it to ESPN or go on YouTube and find it right away.
Right, exactly.
You didn't record it, Mike? You can rewind that VHS?
I didn't have a VCR until like 1981, I think, 82. But I've got it today. I've got the film, but I mean, other than that, I would like to find some of Mike's older fights, but I don't think there's anything much before like 77. I think the oldest fight I've seen anywhere was the Harry Terrell fight.
Yeah, I got that one. I think I got one. I can't think of his name. One before that, for a guy Bill Sharkey, who's undefeated for New York.
All right, I remember Bill Sharkey. Bill Sharkey was actually ranked for a short time in the ring top 20 or 30.
Right, exactly. My father in New York, he was 60 undefeated, 16-0.
Yeah, because I remember Boxing Illustrated did a big thing on him and everything, saying he was going to be the next big thing, but he wasn't.
Yeah. No, that's how far beat him. No, but he wasn't.
All right, Jeremiah, you got any final questions for Mike?
Yeah, one last question, and then that'll be all for me. But if I'm not mistaken, and I could be, was Tate set to fight Ali if he beat you?
Yeah,
and if
exactly.
So
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna. I mean, that is my question. But did you get any shot at Ali, or was there any talk about that after you knocking out Tate?
Yes, it was. Tate and Ali was signed to fight. After Tate fought, after the fight didn't go that way, it was me and Ali was talking about fighting. Ali was calling me, tell me how you gonna beat me, what you gonna do to me, and everything. And we were talking on the phone. He called me, and then we supposed to go to a press conference in L.A. at a press conference where he was going to announce the fight. They the press conference. My manager told me we're not going. I said, why? He said he heard Ali going to announce he's going to fight Larry Holmes. Same day. That's the press conference in L.A. And that's what he announced he's fighting Larry Holmes.
Yeah, you also weren't you originally supposed to fight Jerry Cooney before Larry Holmes did?
Yes, I was. Because I was. They were talking about stripping me if I fight James Quick Tillers. They talk about stripping the title because my mentor defense attorney said then we want to fight Cooney. We want to fight Cooney. Then Cooney was supposed to wait for us at the Tillers fight, but somehow Don King stole that fight.
Yeah, well,
got that fight.
Don King has a tendency to do that, and I'm pretty sure he probably stole your Ali fight too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
And then he stole the two Dokes fights also.
And Don King had his hands in everyone's pockets.
Yeah.
And I saw the dude. I mean, I got what's the guy named Tate? What's his name? Tex Cobb.
Oh yeah, Tex Cobb. Yeah, you were scheduled to fight him too, and he fought Holmes, correct?
Yeah, right. Now he fought Holmes. Don King stole that fight too. Yeah, that's right. Don stole the fight from him.
Well, I wanted to see that Weaver Cooney fight too, because that would have been, for as long as it lasted, a hell of a fight.
Yep, I wanted to fight, but they got it.
Hey, well, Mike, it was an absolute honor to have you on the show tonight. We wish you nothing but the best, and hopefully we can have you on again at some point.
Anytime you want to, I'm available for it. Anytime.
All right. Hey, thanks a lot, Mike.
Much appreciated.
Okay, thank you. It's my pleasure. It really is.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike. All right, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, thank you. Remember, guys, tomorrow we will have Big George Foreman on the show. John Raspani will do that interview with me because Jeremiah has a real job. We got to work on that, Jeremiah. Also,
I know, I'm trying.
I just got a message Thursday night at 7 Eastern, if you could do it, Jeremiah. We got former WBO heavyweight champion Michael Bent, who pulled one of the bigger upsets in heavyweight title history with a first-round knockout over Tommy Morrison, right after Morrison had beat Big George Foreman. So Michael Bent will be on Thursday night. And stay tuned, because I think sometime in the next week or two we'll also have James Lights Out Tony. Go to thegruelingtruth.net, click on the mybookie.ag. It'll take you straight there if you want to bet on the fights this weekend. Got some pretty big fights coming up this weekend. We've got Billy Joe Saunders fighting against David Lemieux. A good PBC card Friday night, so make sure you check that out. You can hear all of our shows on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher. Wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So for former heavyweight champion Mike Weaver, Jeremiah Preissser, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.